All right, here we go. Hey, everybody. I'm gonna talk in this video about the I call a raises project, and where that's at. It is in process. It is still the plan. We're just not at the finish line yet, but I want to tell you about it and tell you the two steps that we are taking to in the meantime as that wraps up. But first, I wanted to just share a little blurb about kind of where I'm at and why this is good for you. Last summer, this is take two is what I'm calling it. Last summer, I've been planning for years to really step away from therapy and do more of the business side. That's been my kind of desire for quite a while. Last summer, I did that. I got down to like three or four kind of lingering clients. And then if you remember, we had that big TRICARE disaster where we did not have money coming in the door like we needed. And had to take it a loan to kind of, stay afloat and all that. And so I built my caseload back up at the end of after the summer. I decided just to add people to my caseload just to bring revenue into the company. But now we are again cash positive. Everything is stable. We've got like 3 more months of paying that loan off, and then or maybe 4, but we're on the tail end of that whole process. We're catching up from last year. It's looking up. So all that is good, and so I'm again stepping away from doing therapy and focusing on the business. And what I've noticed is that in the last 2 weeks, as I've done that, as I've kind of been focused on that, I am getting to emails faster. I'm completing things on my to-do list. My email stacks are just far less gummed up and all that good stuff. So hopefully you'll get less emails from me that say, hey, sorry it took so long to get to this, here's your answer. I'm hoping to my goal is to respond to emails in like the kind of the traditional, like within 24 hours, like the day of or the next day, and all that good stuff. So, and high on the priority list is kind of quarterbacking this getting us more money situation, getting you raises, more money in the company, getting as we recover from last year's TRICARE thing. The big agenda is, because we really still we are kind of vulnerable. Like we've got to we don't have we got to build up our big safety account like we had prior to that TRICARE thing and all that. So we're still there's a road to travel still to be very, very safe, which is what we want, obviously. So in the meantime, let me tell you about the contracting and the raises. So it's in process. We did another kind of smaller project with the same company. They delivered and did amazing. We have a lot of confidence in these people. It's a really good company. And they are so thorough. So the first month or so that they worked on this, we would just get email after email asking for like tons of information, like what's exactly how many of this session did you bill to this insurance, what's the proportion of that, let's find the local market rate for this and that, and so it's just lots of kind of homework and digging and pulling numbers out. Poor Liberty had to do all sorts of crazy math that I'm probably not even capable of doing, and making spreadsheets, and I was I did a little bit, but Liberty gets the big credit. So anyway, so we've it's in process. They are now sending the whatever you call it, the offer or the prompts to the insurance companies, getting kickback. They're in the fighting that thing. I asked them I said, can you give me just give me some, no promises, ballpark of where we're at. Are we halfway through this process? Should I tell you guys like 90 days, 60 days, 30, whatever? And they said, don't promise anything. Insurance companies are notorious for dragging things out and delays. There's just no way to know. But one thing that became obvious, and this will lead into the two things we're doing, or one not became obvious, but just like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about this as well or enough, is these are not all going to come in the same week or something. These are like Blue Cross will tell us this day, and then Aetna will tell us this day, and then TRICARE will tell us that day, and or whatever, right? It's going to come in a spread, maybe in the same month, maybe in the same 2-3 months, who knows, but and so I don't think so. I stopped thinking about it like we're going to have a a day where we change all the rates from, to where you guys get $100 to you guys get 110 or 15 or whatever it is. I think what's going to happen is we're going to have like, hey, we could give the staff 105 right now. That's where things are sitting. And now we could do 110. Now we could do 115. And so that's what we're going to shoot for, is to actually bump you guys up incrementally as things come in over the next however long. So here's what that's going to look. Here's what you're going to see. We're going to start billing probably in the next week or two. We were advised to bill 10% above the 200, so 220. So you're going to see on Simple Practice that we're billing 220 to all the insurance companies. So not cash pay, not ACF if you take ACF, but the insurance companies. We are not getting 220. If we start getting 220 from all of them, then boom, you guys get we'll jump it up and you get half of that really rapidly. A few of them are probably going to pay. We like VA pays looks like 211, so we'll probably get a little bit more for VA session, but we don't do a ton of VA. I think Cigna does 207, but we have it's like 3% of our stuff. So some small ones are going to pay. We know that Blue Cross and Aetna pay under 200, so we're going to get, and that's about 2/3 of our work is those two together, or some 50 to 60%. But as money, it's going to allow us to catch the changes as they come in and see what we actually could get if we were billing a little higher. And so as insurance contracts start to get renegotiate higher rates, we will catch them immediately because we'll already be billing and writing off the difference. But as soon as the allowed amount is changes, it will show up because we'll be billing in a way that captures that. And so as soon as we get to where the aggregate coming in is high enough that like, okay, now the average is closer to where we would give you guys like a $5 bump. Then I have in my head big round numbers, 105, 110, 115, however high this ends up going, we don't know. But it's like, so say that like after, in the next 2 months, between the little ones that they're already there, and then we get one big one, we're like, oh, we can do 105 now. We'll change the rate in your payroll to 105. And then as more come in and we get, okay, now we can bump up to 110, then we'll do 110 and kind of stair step it like that. And I think what's good about that is it'll let you guys kind of benefit from the progress as it happens instead of waiting till like September or whenever this happens, October, when we have all the contracts in and we've been billing for a little bit, we know that we're getting that amount and all this kind of stuff. And then you get a jump, you'll get steps up before that. You end up at the same amount in the long run, but you'll get kind of a little increases along the way. So I hope that makes sense. I think it makes sense. So you're going to see that. So just know that we're not collecting 220. We're going to be billing it out, and so because we're not collecting that number, we're not giving you 110. We're collecting 220 to see what we're getting, and then as we get it in, we'll roll it over to you guys. The last thing is, so that's one change that they advised us to do, and I think it's smart. So we're gonna roll into that. The second thing is they said we're really leaving a lot of money on the table by not billing the intake codes for the first sessions, the 90791. Excuse me. You get to practice how you want to practice. If you don't want to do the intake session 90791s, that's totally fine. You don't have to do it. If you want to, we think there's more money in it. We think that same thing, that we will, if we start doing that, we'll find out that we can bring more money in and then pass that on to you, share that with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to send an email out, and just remember this is voluntary. You don't have to do this. There's about 4 things that you have to do different for 90791, but they're incredibly easy. You just have to ask about them, and especially if it's stuff like substance abuse history, past psychiatric encounters, and then psychosocial or family history, stuff like that. There's 4 of them. So we'll put them in an email, we'll send it to you, and show you how to change the code, which most of you know how to change the code anyway. It's the same way you change it from like a 60-minute session to a no-show. It's the same fields. And so we'll send you an email with instructions if you want to do it you can only do it for your first, you do it for your first session. if you want. And it looks like the research we got said it's between 230 and 300 that people get for these sessions, depending on insurance company and contract. So we're gonna same thing. We're gonna bill high. We're gonna bill 300. We set it at 300, and we're just gonna see what comes in. If we end up getting 250 on average for these, then we'll create a payroll item for 125 for you guys, so you get the 50%, and then you can on your payroll you'll be able to just, every if you did intake that day, kind of like you would put like how many no shows versus how many billable sessions. You could just put how many. Okay, did one intake, 3 regular sessions, and then you'll get that extra $25 or whatever it ends up being, whatever 50% ends up being for the for that code. So I think that makes sense. So you can see some higher numbers. Look for that email about the 90791 if you want to do that. And just know that this is being worked on in the background. There's a lot of kind of waiting. There's with insurance companies, but it is we think about it every week and send emails back and forth. We're not sitting on it. So I wanted to give you guys this update. All right, and I think I said this earlier, but just in case I didn't, please, if you have any objections or questions or excitement, just shoot me an email. Don't keep it to yourself. Let me know, and we will roll with it. Okay. All right. We'll see you guys in the next one.